And Irma is going to take the lead.
Hola. Mi amigos. That's about all you're going to get from me. But I am learning because I want to be better next time we go. So, Honduras. First of all, I would not be standing here. These people would not be sitting here if it wasn't for all of you. So please give yourselves a round of applause. Well deserved. When I first approached the foundation committee, headed by Bryce, I wasn't sure what I was going to get for a reaction. So without their support, and then President Amanda's support, none of this would have happened. You guys gave money, you gave school supplies, you gave musical instruments, you gave us encouragement, you gave us some Spanish Honduran money. One of you even had some of that lying around. Look at them all, they're all smiling. We had the best week ever, and we want to share it with you, and we want you to come with us next time. So I'm going to start this off. Where did we go? You can see on the map where Honduras is. Population is about the size of Tennessee, but the population is a bit more. We were in La Paz, which is about an hour from Tegucigalpa, the capital. And you can see the Palmarola Airport is where we landed. We didn't have to go to the big city at all. So we were about 15 minutes from the airport, very close by, and that's in Comayagua. And that white line that runs from Comayagua down to La Paz, that's through the mountains. We also went up there during the week. These are the members of our team. 3 people are not here today. One of them you'll see on video because he's in Connecticut. 2 people couldn't make it. One is Billy Townsend. Sadly, he had something Kiwanian to do instead. Yeah, I know, boo, right? And the other is Mark's lovely wife, Annette. She couldn't get away from work, but you will see them in the pictures. And thank you to Larry Becker, who is recording us today. And for anybody who doesn't make it, we can show them this recording. We can also use it to hopefully promote going again. That's inside the house we built, that you guys paid for. That's inside the house. That's a one-room house, a wooden house. You'll see more pictures of it. And those are the non-perishable food items that we bought as a housewarming gift for the family with money that you donated. So you guys were there with us. That's where we stayed. That's the new mission house. We were the first team to stay there. And we now feel kind of like we own the place. Another team was there this week from our district, from Fishoff Riverview, and it was like, you're staying in our house? So beautiful rocking chairs outside. That was on our last day, next to the last day there. We were all wearing our Lakeland Rotary shirts, but I wanted you to see how beautiful the outside was. Okay. The inside is just as lovely. It was a bit nicer than we actually expected it to be. We thought it would be more lodgy or campy, but it was very nicely done. Tiled shower, hot running water, flushable toilet, way better than last time we went, actually. And the bedrooms were really nice. They wanted to change our linen every day, and we told them, don't bother, really? The first thing we did was we met up with Larry's friend Shirley from Project Uremu, and we donated the musical instruments that you guys gave us. We had a lot of fun getting those through the airport and onto the plane. Some of them got shipped through, some of them we carried on. The guitar, I got them to stand up front where they hang their coats and stuff. They did it, so that was fine. We had 2 flights we had to maneuver this through, but it all worked out. Some of you donated extra luggage. We used every bit of it for school supplies and some of the musical instruments. But as you can see, everything got there fine. And they're all wearing masks, you'll notice. We had to wear them in the airport in Honduras. They have an 85% vaccination rate. We had to wear them in the supermarket. But the rest of the time when we were outside, we were fine. But they all wear them, and nobody argues about it. That was our first team meeting. On the lower left is Jonathan Zelaya. He is the president of Honduras Compassion Partners in Honduras, and he coordinated and was our host for this whole thing. And I am so excited to announce to you that this just happened right before the meeting started. Jonathan's coming to Lakeland last week of June, and he's going to be at our annual dinner. So you'll all get to meet him, and I hope that it'll be a lot of fun for everybody. He's also a Rotarian, yes. He was president of his club. He's now an assistant governor. Next to me and in between Mark and Lynn is Jonathan's mom, Doris, and she was our cook for the week. And next to me is Stephanie, who also works for Honduras Compassion Partners. And you can identify the rest of us there. So that was after a day of traveling. So this is our schedule for the week, and I printed up some copies, and there's 2 on each table that you can look at. And that's how the week worked. So you can see that we didn't have a lot of downtime, but it looks worse than it is. We didn't leave till 8 in the morning, and we came back at noon for lunch, and then we didn't leave again until 2 o'clock. So there was time to relax, and every evening we'd have a little team meeting to review what we did for the day and what was coming up for the next day, and to figure out who was going where. If you see there's little numbers after each project, those were the number of people that Jonathan and Stephanie figured out we needed at each site. And so on the back of what you have is what I tried to come up with so that everybody got a chance to do everything. And I want you to know that we followed the big F word, flexible, because by the end of the week, this is what it looked like. So everybody got to change and move around and do what they want, and they felt they were needed somewhere else instead of this place. So it was good to start with something, but we moved around. I just wanted you to get an idea of what it was like. So we built a house, we built a pila, which is a water storage tank. We built some latrines. We installed 13 water filters. We did a lot of different things. First thing we did was we built a house.
So yeah, we built a house, and this is the family that we built the house for. It was Jessica, Jose, and their 4 children, Brian, Dulce, Selvin, and Sophia. And I don't know if you can see in the background behind the foundation for the house, which that was just the border of the foundation. That was actually dirt at the time. We poured the concrete for that, but beyond that is the little hut, if you will, that they were living in. That's it. That's a much better photo. I think the story behind that was they were kicked out of wherever they were living. Someone else in this neighborhood let them sort of build this little makeshift hut, knowing that the land that they own is where the house is, because you have to own the land in order for Honduras Partners to actually build that house for you, because they don't want people to have houses built and then they kick the family out and take it from them. So that's a really important part. This is the children. They were so happy and so fun, and Ian had a good time tossing them in the air and playing with them. And so we're building the house here. There's the walls going up. Ian was instrumental in being the what was the thing you used?
Table saw.
Oh, the table saw. Yeah, he had never used a table saw before. Now I have lots of house projects at home for him because he knows how to use a table saw. But yeah, there we are with our nail guns and our drills, and I got to be bossy. It was so much fun. One of the head sort of contractor guy, Javier, and I bonded because he enjoyed my snark, which, snark breaks all language barriers, I'm telling you. It's a beautiful thing. He was very snarky as well. And so we were able to get a lot of things accomplished. But, I mean, we built the whole thing. Other than the roof, Jose, what was his name?
Joel.
Yeah. Joel is how he pronounced it. They were the ones walking on the top. We couldn't do that. I think for insurance purposes, that was a bit too much. But there we are with all of our concrete. Everybody participated in, stirring the concrete and mixing the sand. And so now we all know how to do that. My shoes didn't make it. I did not wear the proper shoes for that. But we, what was that, 2.5 days?
Yes.
2.5 days, we built that house. And there we are with all of the supplies. There we are with with the family and the group of us that did that. And as you can see, it's not, there's no hurricane straps for you contractors out there. that was all just nails and screws. Probably wouldn't fly our City of Lakeland code, but it works for them, and they were very, very happy to have it. And Jose, who was the father of the family, participated in helping every single day, and that was something that's important as part of the process. And there's, you see President Amanda with our flag, our, what is that called? Is it called a flag? Our banner. I should probably know that. That's what you're gonna get the next year, I'm just telling you, I got no clue. Our banner, and there we are cutting the ribbon, and it was just a really great experience for all of us, but for me personally, it was great to, just be there. And for me, it was like, this was a vacation in the sense that I was away from everything that I was doing, and it's almost better for me to be super, super busy and have tasks and then feel like those tasks are still accomplishing something rather than sitting on the beach drinking margaritas somewhere. So for me, it was a big release, better even than, sitting on the beach drinking margaritas. So I really appreciated that Irma brought this to us for that purpose. Ian, do you have anything to add?
I would just say that if you're one of those people who's thinking about going and you're maybe having cold feet about going, I was one of those people, and I ended up having one of the best weeks of my life when I was up there. It was super fun. So if anybody has that same feeling, I would say just go with your gut and just fight the bully and go.
All right.
Okay, so I got to do everything. So we scheduled it so I got to participate in everything. And the one I'm going to talk about is the Pila, and it is for them to have water for cooking, cleaning. Before, this family that we worked with had, I don't know, maybe an old freezer that was falling apart that they stored their water in. So here is us mixing the concrete. They did the pipe laying to make sure it was straight. And we built this for Maria and her partner, who I forgot his name, so I apologize for that. But Maria Petrona, and she made sure we knew how to say her name, which was really cute. She was smiles the whole time. She did tell us about her and her partner's family. They each had kids separately, and their kids don't do anything for them, and so they're all alone. They were so happy that we were helping them, and so amazed that strangers were doing more than their family were doing for them. So it was pretty heart-wrenching to meet them, but I mean, she always had a smile on her face. Her partner had a stroke, and so he wasn't able to speak, but once we got, he was able to work though, and she helped work too. They hadn't had any food probably in a few days when we were there, and they still helped bring bricks over, helped us mix concrete, helped in all that. And so that is part of the program that the family does help us or has somebody that can help us. And then they also provide some of the supplies. So they had to provide the sand and sand that goes into the concrete mix, as well as the water. When we found out that she didn't have any food, we asked permission to buy food for her and her partner. And that wasn't the norm, because guess what? Everywhere you go, you're going to want to buy food for somebody. And they said we just can't. And so we did get special permission to buy. At first, we thought it was just going to be like soap and things to use with what we provided them with the Pila, but we got permission to also bring food. She was so grateful. And again, she was smiling all the way. I laid bricks. So I know how to lay bricks now. Probably not very well, but you know. And the last picture, can you just go back one, was the inside of her house. Well, the one thing we noticed is most of the houses, where they cooked was outside, but hers was inside. So in the corner, that's where they cooked, which I don't know how harmful that is with the smoke, but that's how her house was set up. But that's the inside, and her house was made of concrete. Amazing experience, definitely do it. I'm gonna go again, and I'm talking my husband into maybe doing a junior journey with Florida Southern. Okay.
So I want you to know a couple of things. First of all, you saw that big pile of food that we provided to the family for whom we bought the house, and Michelle also talked about food that we were able to provide to Maria. That food was purchased with money from this club,
Right.
because you all generously donated cash to help us cover the extra baggage fees. We had way more cash than we needed to cover those extra baggage fees, so we used that cash to buy those groceries and leave with that family. And I also got permission to leave our club banner with the family hanging on their wall, and they assured us that banner is going to hang on their wall in their home as long as they live there. So I want you to know that you are the ones that did that. We spent about $350 US dollars on that food, and the family told us that that's enough food to last them for 2 months. Approximately.
Amanda.
Yeah, there's the receipt.
In Lem Piers, it was 7,946.38 Lem Piers,
7,000 limb
which
heroes.
comes out to $322.38 plus the fan, so we spent $351.38.
It's enough food to feed 8 people for 2 months, basically. So, okay, so I'm going to talk to you about feeding 2 communities, because this is another great activity that you would get to do. In the neighborhoods that we were working in, I don't know, I had this concept that we were going to be going up into like remote mountain villages every day. But really, we were working more in what I would call urban slums. We were in neighborhoods that were less than 10 minutes from the city center, in neighborhoods where there were virtually no public services at all. There was no running water in any of these neighborhoods. 60% of the people in the neighborhoods don't know where their water source is coming from day to day. The average family in these neighborhoods lives on less than $1.90 a day of income. And we had the opportunities to speak with the families, and some of the things they would tell us about income were, we talked to one dad who, he goes around and he picks up trash and sells it for his income. We talked to another gentleman whose his income is to going to the river and pulling sand out of the river and selling the sand out of the bed of his truck, and they use the sand in their building materials. So this is the kind of employment. But right next door would be somebody with a master's degree who's a teacher at the schools. So the neighborhoods were very diverse, but still, everybody in those neighborhoods, no running water, really no municipal services at all. So we participated in feeding programs, and Irma's going to show you lots of pictures. This was a great way to interact with the kids and people in the neighborhood, and for me, this was my most humbling experience of the trip, so I'm going to tell you my story. And that is, after Ella and I had prepared this meal and served this meal to the children of the neighborhood, the staff from Honduras Compassion Partners looked at me and said, okay, now we need to wash the dishes. And I went, I don't know how to wash the dishes here. There's no sink. There's no running water anywhere in the neighborhoods. And then I had the realization I have so much privilege in my life that I don't even know how to wash dishes in this primitive environment. And when they did show me the environment to wash the dishes in, I was almost ill. My husband is such a stickler for food safety because he had food poisoning one time when he was like 12. And so he's like one of those guys that won't eat food at a potluck because he doesn't know the kitchen that it was prepared in. And I was standing in a kitchen washing dishes in the most primitive environment. That was a very humbling experience for me, to say to my peers, I don't know how to wash dishes in your environment, and then to see what kind of environment it was. That was humbling. And then my second story is this picture. This was one of the feeding days, and that's Jessica in the upper right-hand corner, the mom that we built the house with. And every time I look at this picture, I think to myself, Jessica and I could be cousins, if not sisters. Look how similar our skin tones are, our facial expression, our features are, and what is the difference between Jessica and me on this planet, except that I have been given every privilege in life, and she has been given 0. She's a mom just like me. She's doing the best she can for her kids, and all I can do with the privileges that I've been given is open my hands and share them with her while we're here on Earth together. And so I just want you to understand that for me, it was about the people more than anything. And making connections with them and just understanding we're all one and the same, and we can do nothing but just help each other here. So those are my stories. We also built latrines. And look, we were building latrines for families that had no running water in their homes. So what were they doing before we built these latrines for them? They were either toileting in buckets in the corner of their one-room homes, or they were going out into the fields right across the street from their house to relieve themselves. And so for us, all of us, I know in the group that got to work on latrines, this was probably the most powerful and impactful things that we did. One of Rotary's 7 areas of focus is water and sanitation and health. Water, sanitation, and health. And what could be more impactful to water, sanitation, and health than building latrines so that people can toilet in a decent and dignified manner? And that's what we did. So we worked with 2 families here. We turned the concrete, we laid the pipe, we cut the pipe, and then we had to install the hut things. We worked as a team on that day, and it was pretty impactful. There's Ella turning the cement, so proud of her. Those of you that are parents, if you have the opportunity to do this trip with your kids, I'm sure Julie and Mark would echo with me, it just magnified the impact of the trip to me to be able to have the experience with my daughter. So that's that. So here's one of the families we built the latrines for, and the other one was in one of the other pictures, and that's all I have to say about that.
And a Kiwanian wearing a Rotary shirt.
There were so many great Kiwanis versus Rotary jokes with Billy there with us for the week. It was really great. Okay, who's next? Water filters, that's Mark.
Larry.
First of all, I want to say that the instruments were possible, obviously for you, but it all began with 1 girl and 1 cello. The cello donated by us, Trudy and I, from our deceased son. And what a cello or an instrument can do in the life of 1 girl, and how that has exploded into what today we know as the Orema Project, where they're impacting 300 kids in Honduras. So it's just amazing. Thank you for all the donations you made. Now we're talking about water filters because a water filter is one of the simplest technologies you ever can imagine. It only involves a plastic bucket that we can buy at Walmart, and then an earthen pot that looks like an earthen pot, and you put the 2 together and you put water down into the pot, and within 24 hours you have a 5-gallon jug filled with purified water. We saw families drinking the purified water that they had picked up out in the streets or in a lake or a pond, and they confidently were able to do that. Another thing I want to share with you is I've taken 15 or more groups like this all over Central America, South America years ago, including Honduras, and I can attest to the fact that Jonathan and Honduran Compassion Partners are doing it right. And it has made it possible with Jonathan's organization and his skills and his motivation to make it possible for you to donate and for us to come as a team. And that's how our situation was so successful. And I thank him and his team and the folks that support Honduras Compassionate Fathers. Now, we visited a home. There were several. I had the experience of 2 or 3 homes where we showed folks, the families, how to put these pots together and how to work. But my game changer happened when we showed a woman the water purifier or the filter, and she was the grandmother living with her granddaughter, and her granddaughter had recently given birth to her daughter, or mother's great-great-granddaughter, and we showed her the purifier, and then she told her story that she lived in a borrowed house with her daughter and great-granddaughter, and they never knew when the owner would come and take the house away from them. They were really in precarious poverty conditions. She had no work except go into the hills, cut firewood, and sell it in town. She felt very lonely, as her husband and 2 sons had abandoned her, and yet she found solace, as she said, talking to the animals who comforted her. I was deeply moved by her story, motivating me to continue to support programs like this, something I've done all my life, and I encourage more teams, and especially more youth, to participate in this experience. Their lives will be changed. Thank you.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, I'm Mark. What? Oh, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there was 2 Marks. I'm Mark, and that's Mike. So that's the way we today figured it out. When we were talking, I said we wouldn't look around. So What a wonderful week of going. You know, I could stand up here and talk for hours, but obviously we don't want a very small time limit. But as soon as I granted this opportunity to go there, I wanted to jump at it because I've always wanted to do a mission trip. And I think the biggest thing for me was that I wanted to not just give my give money, which of course is extremely important, but I wanted to give my time because in my only God knows the number of beats that my heart has, but I wanted to spend some of those here with these people and help them really help themselves. And really, it was a tremendous thing. Want to talk about the school? So this is also my favorite day. Beautiful country. I was expecting jungles and toucans and everything else, but we went up there into the mountains, coffee country. We had the fire department came with us. I think that in case one of our trucks went off the edge or something like that. But so, anyways, my son couldn't make it here today. He works in Connecticut, lives in Connecticut. So he jumped at this opportunity. He thought this was the best thing. He loves to visit new places. He loves to visit different countries, and so he wanted to come and visit. This was probably his favorite thing too. And some of the pictures that you see there, there's the little boy that you see there painting the wall. His name was Franklin, and my son was like showing him how to paint. Also, he had a thing where they had like just a little jar of blowing bubbles, and to them that was like the greatest thing in the world. There you can see like the kids, getting drunk on coloring books and crayons. Boy, that was they just had an awesome time. The kids showed up, and it really was that's just the seeing kids. I mean, kids are kids, and my son was sat down and was showing them, and they were all they didn't know what to call him. He forgot his name, so they just call him. Hey, gringo, go mira, mira, mira. And they're showing them their coloring books and stuff like that. And I mean, it wasn't in a bad way. It was just they didn't know what else to call him, but he was like having good times, and the kids were just always swarming around him, wanting to show him, whatever they were working on. Also we had, I think there's Billy there teaching them how to throw football, Franklin football, and then he did the girls' nails. And they had a good time, and the ice cream man showed up.
Yeah.
So, and of course, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if you ever hear the ice cream truck around here, where it plays like da 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 da. It's the same song. So yeah. As soon as I heard that, because I wasn't there when they showed, I was like painting the inside of the house, and I'm like, that sounds like the ice cream. And yes, it was. So so it was great. We got ice cream for the kids, and it was great. Then we got to share the I guess like the bounty that we were able to bring with us. So it was the school supplies. I know many were donated by here. I know that my office at Kimley Horn, we had to drive to, and we had a box of stuff that we brought with us. So yeah, we pulled all that stuff through customs and everything else like that. That was kind of interesting to kind of explain why we have all these coloring books and glue and everything else. But so it was here we were talking to the principal, and also they had the PTA leader, and I think his son was Franklin. But what was funny, he brought in like a bowl of bananas for us to have. And I'm just gonna say, like, I'm not a banana guy. That was the best banana I ever had. So that was to say that. So I think that's about it. Next person. So Ella, yay! So yeah,
So my favorite day is when we went and we totally refurbished the library. And a little bit about me is I love to read. Reading is like my favorite thing. It's my biggest passion. anyone on the trip could probably tell you that. I had a book with me like everywhere we went. I finished like 2 while we were there. So, but the library was so cool because you guys donated like 200 books to the library. So that was really awesome. I thought that was so cool. I'm at school right now. I'm working on a book fair that I'm hosting. So that was really cool that y'all did that. And it was so fun to me because all of the books that I was like cleaning and pulling out were books that I read when I was a kid. They were just translated into Spanish, so like I kept pulling them out of these boxes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I read that, oh my gosh, I read that, oh my goodness, I love that book. And it was really special that these kids from Honduras, like, they're reading the same things I was, just in a different language. So that was really special to me, and I had a great time on this trip, and it's so special. So, thank you.
I'll leave that there for a second. These are some of the new books, and we asked them to make labels with our club's name on them that the books were donated by our club. So we spent $1,000 of your money to buy the 200 books to refurbish their library. I'm going to wrap this up with some random pictures because I want you to see how beautiful it was. This was the view from the house, and it was just stunning. On the top left is a marketplace. On the bottom, guess who I took that picture for? Joel Ivan, yeah. The top right is the house. The bottom right is just a pavilion where we served lunch in one of the communities. And while we were making lunch, Michelle went over and played with the kids over there. This is Nerds. Now, if you guys don't know how to play Nerds, Julie is your girl. And we did this almost every night. Some nights, a couple of nights, I was like, when are they going to stop? I need to go to sleep. It was very loud. It was very competitive. And the one on the right is the view from up in the mountains when we were painting the school. It was just beautiful. We skipped over that picture where Amanda was holding out a bean. That was a coffee bean. And the view on the picture I took with looking down on the houses, you could actually see some of the coffee beans drying out. So one of the other side stories is sometimes the teachers have to go get the kids out of the coffee fields and bring them to school. So a lot of the kids stop going to school in the 6th grade and they have to go work. That's the reality of it. So a few kids were there. School didn't start till the beginning of February, so school wasn't open when we were there. And the other 2 pictures are in La Paz. There we are in one of the mountain towns on the left, and on the right, that's Michelle looking up. That's a wall painting. And the Davies family, Julie mixing her well-known margaritas. And then they did have a dinner with the Rotary Club of La Paz for us on our last night there. And they presented Amanda with a gratitude plaque for the club. And on the bottom right, we went to a nightclub after dinner, and the other 2 pictures are on our last morning there. The Honduras Compassion Partners has their own little bus that we got around in most of the time. Top right picture is with some of the staff. And they also were kind enough to give me a appreciation plaque. We all got mugs, and underneath that is some banana bread that mine didn't make it home. It was so good, it was gone immediately. So they were very warm and gracious hosts. There's a group picture of us in La Paz. My final thought, think about going with us. If you haven't been convinced by everybody here, I don't know what will convince you. So we have a tentative date of next February 17th. We want to go in February because we want the kids to be in school. We'd like to go and share some of our expertise with them. Michelle wants to teach an exercise class. Mark can talk to the older students about entrepreneurship, and whatever your expertise is, if we can put that to good use. We have a year to plan this. So we want to go when the kids are in school.